I am excited to have Vance Morris on today, and I'm just going to share a little bit of just straight from the bio that was sent, and then we'll kind of get right into it. Vance is the thing that jumped out to me the most was he was involved with Disney for a while, so we'll talk a little bit about that as a leader. And that always it's always interesting, right? There's been so many books written on Disney and their culture and their service. So an opportunity to talk to somebody who's been there and then took that. Has got looks like a pretty cool turnaround story. I see the word bankrupt in there. So that's really interesting. It's a financial podcast, but just like you, Vance, you're on the customer service side, but we know that it's kind of you can't really do that, right? Everything affects everything else in the business. But yeah, you are the guy that blends direct response marketing, which we'll talk about, with engineered customer loyalty and retention. So first off, I just want to thank you for coming on the show.
I appreciate it, Billy. Hopefully you'll drop a couple of gold nuggets for everybody today.
Nice. Well, where should we start? Let's start with something maybe you wouldn't expect, but let's talk about what direct response marketing means. Obviously, you know what it means. I know what it means, but just to make sure that people listening understand.
Sure. So I'll start with the opposite of direct response marketing, which is Goodyear blimp marketing. So most businesses will go out there and try and copy all of the other businesses and entities that they see flying around. And so I call it Goodyear blimp marketing. So if you went to a football game and the Goodyear blimp circling overhead and just got the big word Goodyear on it, there's 80,000 people in the stadium. I can guarantee you, if you called Goodyear on Monday morning and asked the sales team, hey, how many tires did that blimp sell? They won't know. They've got no way of knowing because it's just an impression or an image ad, and it's not designed to generate anything. As a small business, we can't afford to do Goodyear blimp advertising. We can't just throw our logo up there and expect people to, recognize us or remember us or to even do anything. So with direct response is we are literally putting an ad out there that we expect a response from. Now, whether that's a response being they call us or they go to a website, they ask for some free information like a download or a free video, direct response is exactly that. I'm putting an ad out there that says, take advantage of this offer. And the offer could be, some kind of promotion or, again, just a offer for information in exchange for your email address or your phone number. And that's really what every business should be looking at, because that list is what is the most valuable to you. Even if they're not going to buy today, they're what we call a future buyer. And so maybe they need some time for you to market to them, and you can't market to them unless you know how to find them.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point that you just mentioned there in your answer about, I guess there's tension for people. Like, I got to make sales today because I got to make payroll today. But we also know that it's a process. There's cycles depending on what you're selling. Most of the listeners are selling some sort of health, fitness type solution. And I think it's actually a good example of something where, you might have somebody that all of a sudden goes to the doctor and boom, I have to get in shape, and then they're off and running. But I think for a lot of people, there's a process. And anything else you would say, or what else would you say about that? Let's say, I'm listening and I understand that, but I'm also like, I got to make sales today. I got to build my list. Yep. Where does my attention go?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of farming, not hunting.
Nice.
So, when was the best time to plant a tree? Well, 30
years ago. Yeah.
Next best time to plant a tree is today. So you've got to do the farming method. Nobody likes to be chased, right? Think back to even to the caveman time. He ran out with his club, whacked the lady in the head, dragged her back to the cave, and she was his wife. That's not the way business likes to be done, and marketing should be about attraction. So when we're doing that kind of advertising, especially for the health niche, physical exercise and things like that, There are so many diets out there, regimens. I mean, you name it. You've got to be able to tell people what makes you different from all of them, so that they decide to choose you. And really, the only way you can do that, I don't think you can do that in one ad. You might be able to attract their attention with a headline, but to really explain the transformation that your process has, you need a little bit of time. So you
That's
want to
good.
get their information, like I said, email, phone number, mailing address if you can get it, and deliver them. Hey, here's 7 exercises you can do sitting in your office chair all day long, that'll burn 42 calories. Oh, crap. Okay, great. How do I burn 42 calories sitting on my butt? And they'll give you the email, and now you can continue to drip on them. And you want to deliver value, because that's what people are looking for. They're not just
Nice.
looking for the discount or the promotion. And while that might get them around the first time, if your business is all about discounts and promotions and things like that, well, you're just training your customers to be bad customers, and they're always going to want the discount. Train them instead to want the value that you deliver. And then price becomes, I don't want to say irrelevant, but it's really down far on the list.
Yeah. There's so much there that we can get into. One of the things I think of is about sharing how you're different. I remember when I first started my business, man, it was like over a quarter of a century ago. And I remember somebody said to me, and I remember they had a thick Long Island Italian accent, and they said, what makes you different from all the other trainers out there? And I was kind of stumped. And I've learned some things since then, of course, but let's say, because a big thing with listeners is the longevity thing. Everybody's talking about working with older people now. And while that's great, I don't know that it's enough, because it seems like everybody is now saying that they're the only gym working with people over 50, and it's impossible. They can't be the only one. Everybody, so what else would you recommend for people to go about, differentiating and that kind of thing?
Right. Well, certainly you hit on the key word, which is only. And if you can put the word only before whatever it is you do, you now own that market space, and nobody can take it from you. And you're right. There's, people say the only gym working. Well, that might be true, in your little town. But what you have to do is look at what everybody else is doing and kind of do the opposite. And also, don't call your stuff what everybody else is calling their stuff. So if it's a workout plan, and that's what the industry calls it, well, change it up to, your how to live 10 years longer plan. Oh, well, what the hell's that? Great.
Sounds interesting.
I want to live 10 years longer. I don't want to get healthy. I want to live 10 years longer by eating ice cream and everything, So you do have to get the words "the only" in front of it. So while I do direct response marketing, I am not the only direct response marketer out there, but I am the only Disney trained customer experience and direct marketer on the planet. You can Google that, and there ain't another one of me that shows up. And so you've got to find that niche of who you're selling to, and take what's in your background and figure out how to do it. Do you have a guarantee or a warranty? That could be your lead headline. I also own real businesses here in Maryland, and one of them is a carpet cleaning business. And our tagline is, we are the only safe and non-toxic carpet cleaner on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. And we check that every couple of months, and pretty much nobody else out there is using safe, non-toxic chemicals to clean carpets except us. So that gave us the competitive advantage. So you got to find your only, and that'll give you the competitive advantage.
Yeah, a couple of things there, and then one thing you said that I want to sort of kind of wrap up in a way that might make sense to people, which is the who. We're the only gym that works with XYZ. The background I thought was interesting. So thinking about, because I think we take that for granted sometimes. Like in my case, I'll do some I'll take advantage of this and share. I'm a fractional CFO for gym owners, and I'm the only, and I don't say this enough, but I'm the only fractional CFO for gym owners that actually was a gym owner. And that's a huge part of my experience that is really helpful for my clients. So thinking about like, what is it that's in your background that you can share in your marketing? And then the other piece that you kind of alluded to or you did without verbalizing what you did was combining things. You might say that, yeah, we do this, but a lot of people do that. But do they do these two things together? Yeah, there's a lot of former Disney leaders out there, and there's a lot of people that do direct marketing out there. But are there people that do both? And someone else shared one time that when you're the one that verbalizes it, there's a big difference there. Like you might say, yeah, but they would do a money back guarantee also. But if they don't really hammer that in their marketing and their materials, then they kind of don't, because people don't know that. So you can just emphasize the thing that maybe to you is not a huge deal, but to the customer, it's like, wow, that's really,
and then
really
own
interesting. Yes.
And then
yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember interviewing customers, and they would say, so we were a personal training appointment only type facility, and that was part of the deal where they had to make an appointment and then show up. So we would constantly ask our customers, which this might be a good segue because I know you like to talk about retention, and they would say, oh, I just, the fact that I have to make an appointment, I have accountability. And it was like literally like the thing that we're doing is you make an appointment. And to us, it was like so darn obvious that, yeah, of course, like there's just that built-in accountability. But one after the other, they would say that's what they liked about it. So rather than just assume that everybody knew that, we started saying that. I don't know if we did the only thing in that case, but we probably should have said we're the only place that makes sure you book so that you come and you get results. So yeah, thinking about what your customers are saying. I want to get to the retention piece, but I'm also curious if you could share if there's a way to connect your experience at Disney with what you're doing now and the customer service side. Obviously, Disney is known for that.
Yeah, so what Disney's really known for, and I break this down very succinctly, is they are masters at extracting money from your wallet and leaving you feel happy about it and wanting to do it again and again. And that's actually comes directly from Walt. He had a quote, do what you do so well that people can't help but notice and they want to bring friends. I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially it. And so we need to be in the, okay, how do we do it so much better so that we can extract premium pricing? Because that's what, Disney is good at. Even during COVID, they raised prices twice. And the park wasn't even open, and they're still raising prices. They are not bashful about that. And so we need to look at ways, okay, how do we position ourselves as a premium service? And how do we, because we can't be for everybody. There's been the complaints that, Disney's getting, is pricing themselves out of the market, and you know what? They do it on purpose. Because if less people go, then it's a much better experience for the people that do go. And it's fairly democratic. If you got money, you go. If you don't, you don't. And that's kind of it. I think one of the big lessons, though, is that Disney has just figured out how to create an experience out of all of the boring and mundane things we have to do day in and day out to keep our businesses running. Answer the telephone, greet a guest, deliver food, whatever it is. They just figured out a way to make it exciting, right? I had a insurance company, and he was an Allstate agent, and he was one of 7 Allstates in his town. And he had probably, 40 or 50 other agents in town. And he needed a way to separate himself. And when we were in the office, I was consulting with him. I'm looking around. I'm like, dude, you like rock and roll. He had, pictures of The Who and autographed guitars and gold records and all this stuff. And so we started brainstorming, how he would answer the telephone. And his receptionist actually came up. Most places you call, it's, thank you for calling Dave's Insurance. How can I help you? And every business on the planet says some version of that. Well, we really leaned into his rock and roll background, and now they answer for the phone. And remember, He didn't come up with it. His receptionist did, and says, "Thank you for calling Dave's Allstate, the agency that rocks." And so just by answering the phone that way, they're sifting, sorting, and screening out anybody who would be a bad client. Because if you remember, your marketing's got to do two things: attract the people you want and repel the people you don't. And just by doing that, people are like, "What? Wait, what? Rock and roll? What?" And so if they're like, "Okay, this is a joke," they don't come in. But he is now only attracting the people he wants to do business with. And just by changing the way he answered the phone, he did that. And now he's got an experience out of answering the telephone.
Nice. Yeah, it might sound a little cheesy even to people, but that's kind of the point, is that it's very, very memorable. And I won't say any names, but if you just think about the people, whether they're like public facing or just people you know in your community. There's a guy in town, for example, he's an attorney, and he's just so wacky. You know, he wears like these like pink suits, and he's always doing all this crazy stuff. And I even said to my wife, I won't say his name, but he's one of the most successful lawyers in the country. And I said to my wife, I said, I just wouldn't go there. I said, it's just not my thing. I want a lawyer that's going to be like a little more like professional seeming to me. But guess what? He's one of the most successful guys out there because there are enough people that are attracted to that. So yeah, thinking about, in a way that makes sense for your business. Vance, you hear a lot about, what is it? It's depending on where you look, it's 7 or 8 times more expensive to acquire a new customer than it is to keep a current customer. And I think you and I talked a little bit off air when we first met about the importance of being intentional about whether it's, some call it like the client journey, or things that are either happening consistently or things that are happening quote unquote randomly. What would you say about like where do I? Because so many people there's people falling out the back and new people coming in, and it's like this endless cycle. I don't know. I feel like people need either some encouragement or some simple steps they can take.
I will give you the simple steps. I'm a simple kind of guy. Just for background, if you went to Disney today, 80% of the people in the theme park have been there before. Wow. It's only 20% new. And I figure if that ratio is good enough for Disney, it's good enough for me, and it's good enough for my clients. So that 80% repeat is our goal. And if you look at the cost of acquiring, so one of my businesses I mentioned is a carpet cleaning business. And I know it cost me $136 to get a new customer in the front door. That's the pay-per-click ad, the guy answering the phone, etc. But I also know that it only costs me $24 a month to keep a customer. So every time that I serve an existing customer, I'm $100 and some odd more profitable by serving an existing customer than I am by going out and getting a new one each time. So when I ask my clients, I'm like, do you have a marketing budget? Most will say yes. I say, okay, great. How much of that budget is for customer retention? Look at me like I got 3 heads. So if you want, you can grow and be really busy and have all new clients and be dirt poor. Or you can grow. I think 20% is a good growth rate. If you grow at 20% and you're retaining 80%, now you're going to grow profitably. And if you think about it, customers don't always like to be sold to. If the only time you ever hear from a company is when they want to get your money and sell you something, well, it's not much of a relationship. That's more of just a transaction. I want my Happy Meal. Here's the $10 and transaction's over with. And so we talked earlier about delivering value. We want to be able to continue to deliver value after the service or after they've consumed our product. And we want to do it in a way that's not always selling. So I've got 3 steps. I'm just, like I said, simple kind of guy. And so one of them is I firmly believe in the Postal Service. Say what you will about them. I know they just had an increase, but they still have a really good deliverability rates, right around 99%. And mailboxes are empty. I checked the mail before we started recording today. There's a couple of catalogs and a credit card offer. So my competitors are not in the mailbox. So if you were to send them a print newsletter, it's got to be print. Can't be email. It can be also email, but you got to do it in print. you're starting to continue that emotional connection that you created during your first training session, or when they, first week or so they were in your gym. And now you are continuing that emotional connection. There is no selling in the newsletter. The only selling I do is, hey, if you got a friend or neighbor that might need us, give us a buzz. But aside from that, it's like Reader's Digest light. I mean, we got stupid criminal stories in there. We got, I shamelessly use my kids in my marketing. Got no problem with that at all, although they're all getting older, so it's kind of hard to find, can't make an 18-year-old cute anymore. It just doesn't work. But my customers have watched my kids grow up. My daughter used to do ballet. And from 5 until like 12, every time she had a recital, I took a picture of her in her little tutu and I put it in the newsletter. And I did that for every year. And I think she was like 10 or 11 years old. We're in the grocery store, and this lady comes running up to my daughter and says, "Oh my God, Emma, how was your recital?" I'm like, we're ready to go hide in the frozen food section. I mean, who is this? And I had to remember, wait, she's got to be one of my clients. She has watched my children grow up. She has to either die or move before she's ever going to leave my company, because I've created that emotional connection. So that's part one, is that print newsletter. Part two is a real postcard. And that is your promotion of the month. So you want to, buy 3 tires, get 1 free, complimentary training session for 20 minutes or whatever it is. So your promotion happens separate from the value that you're delivering. And then you hit them weekly with an email. And all it is a combination of the article from the newsletter and the promotion from the postcard. Put it in an email form, and boom, out the door you go.
It is simple.
And that's it.
Yeah.
I've been running that exact system now since 2010.
Wow. And it still works.
We're still not at 80, but we hover anywhere between 67 and 71% repeat rate.
Wow.
Throughout the year.
Wow. The kind of like a in the weeds question about the postcard. Does someone on your staff just do that all manually? Do you outsource that? I know there's like Every Door Direct and all this.
I'm not a big fan of Every Door Direct. Well, one, don't forget you're mailing to your existing customers, so you don't need Every Door Direct. You're mailing out of your database. And for me, it is automated. And so we just. May 1st comes rolling around, and the list automatically gets generated out of the CRM, sent to the printer with the copy of the postcard, and boom,
nice,
out the door it goes.
Nice. Yeah, I'll just add, when you listen to this kind of thing, you have to think through, like, how does this play out in your business, right? You might not do everything 100% as it was laid out, but you can agree that something 80% of this is going to work for your business, whether that's just starting with the print newsletter, the weekly news, the weekly email. I mean, it couldn't be easier. If you're not emailing your list, like you have no excuses anymore, because all it is the same article and the maybe the offer or a tip or whatever it is. So yeah, really good stuff. I love how you pointed that out. I want to be sensitive to our time here, but let me sort of wrap up with a question, because we talked about a good amount. We talked about retaining our customers. Let's talk a little bit about. We also talked about acquiring new customers, and we talked about tracking in terms of the direct response. But I love that approach because as a sort of a numbers guy, you can attach that, right? I know I'm admittedly all over the place here, but there's people that talk about branding, right? Like I've had clients, and I won't call you out, but you're probably listening, and it's a lot of money, and it's probably not the most efficient way to spend those marketing dollars at our level, especially when we're not Coca-Cola or a giant company like that. And nowadays, we're seeing a huge trend in that the meta ads, they're just, I know there are some people doing well with it, but they're the same. For a variety of reasons that we don't need to get into. I mean, it's kind of natural, right? There's like cycles with things, right? Nothing ever just works, except for some of this stuff, because it is more based on tried and true principles rather than the tactics. But any sort of like new marketing play, it's not going to last forever, right? Because it just the way it is. Do you take a similar approach with acquiring new customers in terms of the postcards and the mail and that kind of stuff?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, just to touch on branding a little bit, branding should just be a happy byproduct of the rest of what you do. If you are always on time and you're a doctor, well, geez, that's your brand. I mean, how many other doctors are on time? None of them.
Yeah, none of them.
You're now the on-time doctor. So you don't have to have a logo to be your brand. And I would suggest that if you're relying on just a logo, nobody knows what the heck it is. They just don't. Unless you're Coca-Cola or Walmart, like you said.
Yeah.
And so you want to have marketing that is designed to, if you spend $1 on an ad and you send that dollar out into the world, you want it coming back with a whole bunch of its little dollar buddies so that you can measure your ROI or your return on investment. I am a big fan for customer acquisition. Yes, we do pay-per-click, at least for my home service businesses. But we also rely heavily on a robust referral network. And I know we didn't talk a lot about it, but for client acquisition, if you can get referrals, those are warm. I mean, they are yours to lose. They're essentially getting served up on a silver platter for you because somebody, a friend or a neighbor, is endorsing you and telling somebody else, "Hey, you need to go talk to my guy because oh my God, I gained 4 inches in my biceps in 2 weeks and whatever it is." And so they're yours. But cold traffic, they don't know you. I mean, you got to warm them up before they're ready to buy. But a referral. So having a referral system in place is, I know we're short on time, but people say, "Oh, my business is all about referrals." I say, "Okay, great. What's your system?"
Yeah.
And they're
No.
nothing. So I kind of like call BS on that. But if they do talk about the system that they use, then I'm like, okay, I believe you.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good, so overlooked. There's nothing better than getting an introduction from a client to another prospective client. It's just so valuable. And I'm assuming, Vance, that you think that referrer should be acknowledged and should be thanked, and because they're doing a lot of that work for you.
Yeah, 100%. But you have to remember. So I'm not a big fan of bribery.
No.
And you have to remember the reasons people refer. The two top ones have nothing to do with money. One, it makes them feel good, and two, it makes them feel superior to the person they're referring over to you. Money's somewhere like around fourth or fifth.
Yeah.
But yes, I do recognize them. Like in the newsletter, I'll say, "Hey, Mary Jane just referred over Betty Sue. We really thank them both for putting people's names in lights. I mean, they love it. It's like your mom taking the article out of the paper and posting it up on the fridge that had a picture of you and your tricycle or whatever."
I would agree. And if a person, it's not about the money, but if your average client is paying you, I don't know, a few $1,000 a year, and somebody just hands you somebody, then they deserve something. I mean, pick up the phone, give them a call, send them a handwritten card, send them something. Definitely, I agree. It's not about the money. I had a guy. It's like interesting. You have people reaching out and like trying to like. I know the bribe is it's a strong word, and I want to be sensitive if they're listening. But I've had people reach out and say like, "Hey, can you share this? I'll give you like $100." And I'm like, honestly, like that's not really the.
That's not why I do it.
No, it's not why I'm going to do
it. I get JVs all the time, and I'm like, no. One, I'm going to sell my own stuff. I'm not selling somebody else's. But if I know that one of my connections can really help you, I'm going to say, you know what? You need to call, Billy. You need to call Brian because they know their stuff in this, and Now, it would be nice if Billy or Brian picked up the phone and said, "Hey, Vance, that really worked out. Thanks so much." I mean,
Yeah.
I've done some, pretty big referrals. I've gotten boxes of cigars sent to me. I've
Yeah.
got a cake sent to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be that elaborate, but, something that
Agree.
you put your thought into.
Yeah, exactly. And or even just depending on the exact scenario, but even just updating the person, like,
Yeah.
because it's a little, if I'm honest, I'm not necessarily proud of this, but it's a little frustrating. I'm like, yeah, like I referred somebody and they paid you a lot of money, which is fine. I didn't do it for the money, but then there's nothing. I'm like,
Yeah.
even just like, hey, just wanted to let you know I've been working with them and they're doing great. Something like that. I think would be good. But we're gonna wrap up here with some final questions. Before I do that, where can people find out more? Vance has a lot of good stuff. I was perusing his website. I bought all of his programs, and if you buy them, Vance is going to give me 100. But no, I'm kidding. Nothing like that. Just check out his stuff. He's got stuff on on raising prices. Some interesting stuff there. Where can they find more?
Yeah, sure. Best place to go is where you can actually. I've got a gift for everybody, and it's
Nice.
52 ways to wow your customer without breaking the bank. So there are 52 low or no cost ways. So one wow for every week of the year. So if you're not feeling creative, well, there's 52 ways for you, and you
Boom.
can find it at wow52ways.com.
Awesome. And I almost very rarely, I don't know the exact number of percentages, very few guests that I've had on here that I didn't actually know personally beforehand or were directly referred from somebody I know. So Vance, you're probably one of a handful. I have like over 300 episodes. You're probably one of a handful of guys that I had on just because I thought the information was really useful, really important, and definitely aligned very much with some of the principles that I believe and teach. And we met once before just to even confirm that, and it was. So thanks so much for your time. All right, so final questions here. What's one, you've been in business for a long time, different businesses and doing the direct response stuff and consulting. What's I'll give you kind of two options here, either a mistake you've made. We've all made mistakes. Some of them were bigger, some of them were smaller, but ultimately they kind of create who we are. What's something like that maybe we could avoid or learn from?
Made plenty. Plenty of mistakes. That would fill a book. I think one of the biggest ones is listening to people that are selling the media. And what I mean by that is you get a call from the local radio station that says, "Oh, you need to be on radio. We've got 20,000 listeners and bip, 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 bip." No, don't buy from them. If radio is part of your marketing strategy, reach out to a radio station. But it should never be, you should never take a cold call and then make a purchase without knowing how this thing is going to, trust me, ask me how I know. I bought radio time, I listened to the lady, and I got squat. So,
That's
not saying
interesting.
radio won't work, just saying it didn't work for me.
That's interesting. Yeah, I like that. And nobody's ever said that before, so I think that's a good perspective. Are you a reader or learner?
Voracious reader. I'm one of those that if I hear of a book, I just buy it on Amazon and I put it in the pile over there when I get to it. But I probably kill 30 or 40 books a year.
Mm-hmm. All right. So kind of a terrible question, but what's your either I don't know, favorite book or a book that made a huge impact on you, or just a book you think would be worth checking out?
I would, if any book you can get by Dan Kennedy, I strongly recommend. I just got one. He just wrote a book on the perils of AI. It's over on there. I can't read the title of it. But his best book is The Ultimate Sales Letter. And strongly recommend it.
Ultimate Sales Letter, Ultimate Marketing Letter, I think it's another one.
Well, here it is. The Emergency Survival Guide for the AI Revolution.
Nice.
Just came out. Brilliant.
Wow, and he's I don't think he's a spring chicken. If I don't
Another
know.
one.
Okay, I was gonna say because because I remember 2.5 decades ago reading his stuff. I probably should go back to that. So that's a good endorsement. And then you've done a lot professionally. And what's left for you? Like what's on your bucket list or something that you're chasing?
Yeah, I've got a lot going on. One of the things I love doing is I take business groups down to Disney for 3 or 4 day full immersion boot camps. So we spend half the day in the theme parks, half the day in the classroom, seeing how Disney makes the sausage, so to speak. And my job is to show the business, okay, here's what Disney's doing. Here's how you adapt it into your business. And I've taken home inspectors, attorneys, gym owners, you name it. We've taken them down there. It's a nice tax write-off, too, if you want to bring your family for a vacation.
That's really cool. How does that work? Is that because of your relationship with Disney that you can do that? Or is it just something that you just do kind of on your own and just use?
A little of both.
Yeah.
So we do some backstage tours, which I can't lead. So I do contract with Disney.
Yep.
And we'll go backstage. I remember we took 100 child care center owners, and we did 2 tours of Disney's child care centers. So they have their own child care centers for the Disney employees. So that was really cool to be able to take them and do that. But yeah, I do 3 or 4 of those trips every year. And yes, they're fun, but 2, they are, can be life-changing if you implement everything that you picked up on those 3 days.
I love it. Well, thanks again, Vance, for being with us. Shared tons of, I think you said you wanted to share 1 or 2 gems. And I think you shared a lot more. So thanks so much for being with us, and appreciate your time.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Billy.